here so everyone knows where they're at. Hello, hello. We're on the community hero side of things. And so as the introduction mentioned, we're going to talk about continue the theme for February on avatars and customer journey and how that all plays into it. So Jay, let's forget about all the intro stuff. Let's just dive right into it. So at the beginning of the roundtable, at the beginning of the month, we were really focusing on Avatar, and each of the lives since then, we've really been touching upon Avatar. And so, when we look at Avatar and we look at community, one of the things that I'm still a bit overwhelmed with, to be honest, is how do we build community around a specific avatar, and where is that starting point? Do we need to really define the avatar? Do we take an avatar that we have and look at a group? Like, what's the kind of the winery level? What's the starting point, you think?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great
I got uploaded, baby.
Yeah, right. So the reason that's such a good place to start is because I feel like with the other heroes and the other niches that are a part of this program in its entirety, they're a little bit different. And then community is its own distinct pocket, because community, as far as it applies to your winery business, it could be anything. It could be a paid VIP club. It could be your free, public comes in and watch jazz music on Saturday and they don't really pay. I mean, they come and they buy, wine passively because they're there, but it's not like a paid attendance type thing. So there's a bunch of different ways you could cut it. And so when it comes to the avatar, this is where you can really dive deep into the segmentation of your audience. So, while many adults enjoy wine, one of the things I recall really, really like lovingly from our group conversation was that you're going to have a lot more like fun and like pleasure and success when you're less like, I'm going to sell this to everybody. If you like really find yourself connected to, not just all of your customers are, 40 to 60-year-old women who are at this milestone in their life, that might be a great opportunity for you to take the segments and form little communities around them so that they can find each other. So it's not so much an avatar, one ring to rule them all type thing. It's all about data and segmentation and saying, what kinds of people are really enjoying this thing, and how can we bring them together and leverage the power of the community and their relationships to make this a meaningful business experience for everybody instead of just transactional.
So that's really interesting, because there was for those of you who are on the Wine Direct platform, they just recently did their new release for the all new Wine Direct, and one of the big takeaways I saw from that discussion was around club and community around club, and how does that all kind of translate, and how do we provide more value within inside a club model in essence. So that could be the first start of that, is just looking at your club members and anybody that's in the local space. So they have in common. They have their club members. They're local to within an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. And so you could create a community around that. So intentionally generate pickup party events, and so really build upon there, and then get people to come and maybe invite a friend to join the pickup party, right? Because they already love the wine. So the avatar in essence is an existing club member that is local within a 2-hour drive of the winery. That could be, and then what do we do around that, right? So how could we then plus that up? Not plus this up, but plus that up.
Well, one thing that's going to make it a lot less intimidating is that the way you described it, like, hey, we're going to have, an event. And instead of stressing out, like, should we invite the 65 plus or this segment of my data? Like, throw a couple parties and see what kind of people even, show up. Who are you naturally magnetized to? And then from there, an avatar can become more clear naturally.
Okay.
You'll
Great
find
point.
who you naturally attract, who's going to come and have fun, who's going to come and not like it and not come back, who's going to come and have an amazing time. And that's when you can start finding the common denominators and pools of people aka avatars, are going to emerge. So don't stress about it. It's more about like, and I'm going to use this analogy a lot today. This is the theme, okay, guys? The theme today is parties. And I don't necessarily mean like a winery party. Think about like a party. It's your birthday. You're having a birthday party at your house, okay? A party is a really great analogy for a community, because a party is not you inviting people over and they all just sit there and stare at you while you talk. That's not a community. That's not a party. A party is where the point or the objective is for them to come and celebrate your birthday. And even better, if you have like an agenda and events for them to participate in and go through. But your birthday party and the space you're having it in is just the container, and the magic happens when they find each other. So if it's my birthday party, and let's say I have Mark over and I have Paul over, and I'm like, hey, Mark, Paul, you guys both, ABC, you have this in common, and I've made a connection in my container of a community. But again, it's, don't feel the pressure and responsibility of having a community and having to plan things. And it's like you're standing on a stage. That's not a party. That's not a community. The sparks and where like you literally profit off of it is when they find each other because of you. You're the container. The community is the container. You're holding space for them to bond because of you holding that, and they can come and find each other and build relationships.
So that's really interesting, looking at it as starting backward, or at least what I would traditionally I'm gonna change this so we're same size. So what I would traditionally look at is kind of backwards, start with the avatar and then build the solution and the method and the marketing messaging around them. In this case here is, let's look at the people that are there and see what percolates up to the top.
Mhm.
So okay, so that's good. So let me now kind of take it, ask you a different question along this concept of a party.
Mhm.
So let's say you're going to do your spring club release and do all that stuff, and you've got people showing up. Now, would you, and again, like a party, would you set certain stations or certain areas so that people can mingle based on potential interests, right? And I'm thinking like maybe there's somebody doing a recipe where they're cooking something with the wine, and people can go and watch or hang out or sample the food. Maybe there's kind of a red wine section, so there's somebody just talking all about red wine and asking questions and sampling all the other varietals in the red wine category.
Mhm.
um Maybe there's some people that want to do tours, so hey, just come around, let's do a tour, let's get nerdy. And would that be like kind of a way to set those, and people can kind of come and go as they please? Or would you have it structured at least that, hey, at 1:30 we're going to do a red wine discussion? Or would you have them kind of go simultaneously where people kind of naturally will go? What would you
Mhm.
suggest?
I would say it depends on if you've already like been established and have like a strength. Like, are you known for? Are you reputable for educating people on recipes and the cooking experience? And if so, then I would obviously lean into that. And then
Hmm.
as people become attracted to that, because this is an iterative process, guys. So let's say I have a club and I'm focusing on the recipes because that's my forte as a business owner. That's my forte as a wine expert, and that's the kind of clientele I want to attract. So I have this type of party or this type of club event, and then when people come, it will be easy to distill the demographics of what's actually happening, and you can
Hmm.
and insert yourself in the conversations, not making it about you, but literally just being a facilitator and a connector, and seeing the types of data points that people are talking about and bonding over. And you might be surprised. You might have this recipe event or this culinary experience, and you thought that these kinds of people were going to come, but these kinds of people come.
Cool.
And then next time you can build on that and you can market to these people in this way. But now that you know that these people weren't into it, you can market to them a different way. So it's not all or nothing. Community and clubs give you an opportunity to embrace the segmentation and serve people in different ways, but it all leans back to your strengths as well.
Right. And so that's really, I really like that idea. And so if you've got a restaurant and you've got a chef, that's a
Mhm.
great way like you said, to lead into that. So, okay. So now I've got a bunch of people that I didn't think were going to be interested in, let's just use the cooking recipe chef conversation for a second. And so
Mhm.
now I've got those people there. What would you recommend? Like, how do we not make it like kind of a weird party, but still keep the party going? But we need to identify those individuals so then later on we could begin to market to them, segment them out to messaging, invite them to certain things. So we're really driving that message and continuing that relationship. How do we go about then collecting that information? Like, is there a sign up form? Is there a QR code? Hey, if you're loving this, click on the QR code and you'll learn more. Like, how would you do that in more of that live event?
Yeah. So what you're talking about is like is a data extraction process,
Yeah,
which sounds really nerdy and technical when I say it that way. And and a lot of you are probably doing this naturally and organically, and you probably wouldn't call it a data extraction process. But I think one of the themes that we'll talk about a lot in general is being intentional. A lot of people have haphazard communities and then they're surprised when they fail. But if you do things on purpose, and to your point and to your question of, how do I connect these dots and figure out what's going on and create this customer journey in the long run, because I know that these types of people are going to these places. Let me tell you guys, what's everyone's favorite thing to talk about?
themselves.
Themselves. Yeah. So if you can strategically build this experience in your club, it doesn't matter if it's about food or tasting or any of these kind of categories that you could provide when they come. If you present it in such a way where they can segment themselves,
Sure.
let's say you have a recipe experience over here that's all about the whites, and a different station where you have people where you have recipes and a coloring experience that's all about the reds. They're going to go like this, and then they're going to
Yeah.
start enjoying themselves more because they're bonding over the common love of white versus red, and these people are bonding over the common love of red versus white.
Sure.
You could do it by age range. There's different things that you can find the common bonding over. But if you present things and options in such a way where people can raise their hand and say, I identify with that, they'll be all over it. I love taking polls and surveys because I like talking about myself. And it's probably
Yeah.
not good. People are like, oh, we know what age were you when you first rode on an airplane? And you're really just giving scammers your data, but people do it because it's fun and they like to overshare. So you can leverage that and allow people to literally segment and categorize and tag themselves just by
Mhm.
their love of like, oh, yes, I'm going to lean into this because I identify with that. I'm going to lean into this because I identify with that.
And so as a kind of a follow-up then, so would you then maybe do a questionnaire post-event and just say,
Mm.
"Hey, just wanted to check in and see what you loved," and so on, and, kind of what you weren't interested in, and how we can improve our next event and things like that. What would you say to that?
Well, this is when it comes to the strategic pieces that are not isolated to community. This is marketing best practices in general,
Sure.
but anything you do, and we're talking about customer journey now. If it's your event and then you want them to join this club and you want them to become this type of customer and you're nudging them down that customer journey, right? There's milestones. This thing, this thing, this thing. The
Sure.
the lesson du jour of this tangent I'm going on is it's not just the milestones. You need to create the bridge between the milestones.
Mhm.
So if I show up to an event, and in order for you to increase the lifetime customer value of me, the patron of your winery, how are you going to take this about me and bring me here? And there's
Mhm.
101 ways you can do it. So I unfortunately can't answer that specifically, but follow up, as you suggested, like a questionnaire, a way for them to give up information, forms, polls, surveys. Think about traditional like conference like vendor style stuff. People have drawings with fish bowls. They can drop their business cards in. I mean, there's 101 million ways to collect data. The point is with community, this is an opportunity to gamify it and make it really, really fun. So if I go to this station over here for whites, well, for a white wine culinary experience, what's the next natural thing you would want to put in front of me to guide me to buying more white wine, right? So you would want to find a way to capture more information about me, because when I leave there, we don't want it to just drop. We're creating the bridge. So some ideas in that example might be, you might want to put your email on this list so that we can send you the recipe list afterwards, but only for people who over here gets this recipe list versus the people over here are going to get this recipe list. So not only you've walked away from that event with two different pieces of segmentation data: people who like white versus red, and people who like food. And so they opted in for the food experience versus the non-food experience. You have two pieces of data there that you can leverage, and you can use that data to bring them to the next point. So if next time you're having a white wine sale, who are you going to target? The people you already know like white wine.
And so I'm just thinking kind of aloud what that would look like, because I'm staring at this winery, it's John's Winery. I'm staring at the outside right now, and it'd be interesting that you have like the two food groups. So you're doing a, I don't know, I'll call it a vegetarian pasta with white wine, and you're doing like a meat recipe with a braised red, a red reduction or something like that. And then on the corners of that, you're also doing some white tasting of all the whites and red tasting of all the reds. And so now you end up getting like this Venn diagram of, I went to all four, so I've signed up for all four. Jade, do you prefer red or white?
I prefer red.
Okay, perfect. So you went, and do you like to cook, I'm assuming? Yeah. Okay. So you're a foodie. So you went to the recipe side, and you did the red side, and you went and did the red tasting, but you didn't do the white. So that's one way. Or even to an extent of that is, I don't care about the cooking side. I just want to drink something nice at the cottage or at the pool this summer and all that. So someone else is over in the white tasting section only. So that's one really simple way in a structured environment to create these stations and these experiences, and then invite them to follow up with, hey, this recipe, if you really liked it, click on this QR code, and we'll send you the recipe with a coupon to purchase, in store today. Do that, and the same with the whites. You could do, hey, while you're here, add add a couple bottles to your white at your club pricing. Something to that effect. I keep on looking out there because I'm envisioning, because there's like this VIP section. There's actually stations that would work really, really well for that. So, okay, cool.
Fun. Now think about totally. The concept though is like these tactics of like customer journey and collecting data. Like I said, that's not unique to community. What is unique to community is think about how much more emotionally powerful the experience is when I get to experience the food and enjoy it in company of people with shared interests versus marketing to me in a silo.
Now, would you just
that's so hard for me.
Totally. So would you then encourage people then to turn around and have a discussion, is okay, so who cooks like this? Let's just use the red wine and kind of like a beef or dish or something like that, is then now to encourage them to have conversations around that and share ideas. So, hey, while the chef's doing his thing, there's somebody there that's intentionally guiding the conversation and saying, so, who here has cooked with wine before? Great. And so I'm just making this up off the top, but the way I always used to cook with wine is, okay, if it's not taste too good to drink, that's the one that goes in the dish. And I've since learned that that's not how you cook with wine. But that could be a funny thing. And then it's like, so do you use cheap wine, good wine? Like, what's the difference? What's your favorite recipe? And somebody is there intentionally getting that conversation going, and then letting those people kind of then spin, is breaking the ice to allow, Okay, this is really cool. This is fun because with tourism season coming up, and and the next club for most people coming up in the next month and a half or two, depending on what their cycles are. This is something that's going to be really great. Okay, well, so Jade, with we're just going to drop off here with the public community for a moment. But do you have an action item or something for the public community to take away this month, specifically around community and action on?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. When we were talking about, um, bridging the gap between milestone and milestone, it got pretty technical with like data points and segmentation. And so the phrase I want you to walk away with is create the need.
Mm,
If I come to your event, I could just be what we call plate lickers, right? Like show up, get my free food, and then leave, which is super easy. I can just, get my free stuff and take off and never come back. But creating the need. So if you give me an amazing culinary experience, you're creating the need that I want to do it too. But you have to,
mhm.
there's calls to action to do that. So if you create the need, like, okay, I have this, I've experienced it. Now I want to do it for myself. Well, I obviously can't do that without buying wine. I obviously
Right.
can't do that without the recipe. So as you're displaying this wine and talking about like, hey, this wine is great for this, we want to make sure thank you for coming. Here's a coupon. So I feel like I'm being rewarded, but really it's a carrot pulling me down the customer journey. So
Right. Right.
keep creating the need. And then when I buy the wine, follow up, ask me, did I cook with it? Keep creating the need. And if I didn't cook with it,
That's
help me find people that struggled and bring us together. And it's an experience.
And so that I think that's fascinating because that's the other part, right? So this is now where customer journey all pulls in. So the follow-up is anybody that purchased wine on that day that filled out the QR code that said, yeah, I'm totally cool on this. Then that follow-up, maybe a week or 2 weeks later, is, hey, tell us how it went. Post some photos on Instagram or whatever, Facebook, and so that's really where we dive that in. So
Mhm.
I think we'll leave it there. I think that's some really good stuff. But for the members, we're going to dive into this a little bit more and extend this into customer journey and how we can
Yeah.
leverage this. But for everyone that's on the public side, really great that you're here. Remember to like and subscribe. And share with your colleagues and your friends. Every month, we've got 6 of these, and it looks like we're going to bring on a whole conversation around AI. I have a call this afternoon around this, and I'm kind of hoping that this is going to lead to where I think it will. But anyway, the point is that we're here to help you. We want you to ultimately be a hero at your winery and within your team. So stick around and watch the other videos that were on the platform that you're on, whether it's Facebook or YouTube. And we'll see you tomorrow where we talk about Google and we're getting a little technical on the Google side. There's some changes that have come forward that you really need to know about. And the woman who is going to be working with Sharon, I just found out and that she's won an award. She'll talk about it tomorrow, but it's put it this way: they're flying her to California, and they have rented her a beautiful gown, and they're actually renting her the jewelry to wear when she goes up on stage to accept. Yeah, it's kind of like the Oscars for Google.
Yeah.
It's
That's
freaking
awesome.
awesome. And I'm so excited, but I can't let the details out yet because it's not my story to tell. But I can tease you. Anyway,
Mhm.
so we'll see you next time we see you. And until then, good luck with everything you're doing at the winery. And we're here to help. We'll speak then. Okay, so let's turn things off. YouTube, goodbye. Made simple, goodbye. And the page.
Goodbye.
That's which one is this one here? This is the event. Okay, there we go. Save.